think the reason I didn't think about it as a Christmas movie at all is probably because I just never limited myself to watching this at a certain time of year.
Yeah.
I picked this movie because it is really my favorite movie of all time, I think I would say. I know that's big words because, you know, we watch a lot of movies around here.
Do. Yeah.
But this particular movie has so much nostalgia for me. After my parents got divorced when I was around 12. And my dad, after, like, within 6 months to a year or so, was dating this person, Sally, who he had known from college. So they kind of reconnected. And when my dad would come and pick us up for the weekend, because we spent every other weekend with him, I think, after he had moved away. So he and my mom got divorced. Then he moved after about 6 months. And then we would have to travel to go see him. So he would come pick us up, and we would go drive to where he had been assigned, because he was a minister, so he was at a new church. And it was about 2 hours away from where we lived with my mom. And in between there was Jackson, which is where his girlfriend lived. So we would always stop and go to dinner with Sally on Friday night, and then go over to her house for a few hours after. And she had this movie on videotape.
Nice.
And basically she's the one who said, "Oh, you should watch this movie," to me and my sisters. "You'll like it."
Huh.
Well, my sisters would be, you know, asleep within like 5 minutes because they fell asleep all the time. They're like little narcoleptics. But I was sitting there on the couch because my dad and Sally would just go be hanging out and talking in the other room or something. And I was watching this movie. And she put it on because she had a crush on Carrie Elwes, who plays Wesley. And I think that she thought I probably would too. So I think she picked this because I was like 12 or 13. And probably everyone had a crush on Wesley that watched this movie, except me. Because, as we all know, I don't like blondes. Sorry, Carrie Elwes. You got enough people. I actually prefer the swarthy type. So, little tiny 12-year-old Georgia had a huge crush on Inigo Montoya.
He's the coolest dude.
He's like as old as my parents. Older than my mom, probably. But yeah, so I'm like this little 13-year-old kid who's like got a crush on Mandy Patinkin, for goodness sakes. But no regrets. Inigo Montoya is the greatest character.
Oh, man, yeah.
He's so great, and that was probably part of the reason that I wanted to watch this movie over and over. But I also just loved it, and it was just so magical and fun in a time when I probably wasn't very happy, generally, because my parents got divorced. My dad's dating someone new. It's like a weird thing to be going through when you're that age, because when you're that age, you're already a mess anyway.
Yeah.
And then you have all this other emotionally traumatizing and challenging stuff going on. And I saw this movie, and I just fell in love with it. And every time we would go to Sally's, I would be like, well, you just put on The Princess Bride. I'll watch it again. So I probably watched it, 20 times in the course of a year, or maybe even more. And to this day, I would pretty much watch this anytime that it was on. If it was, if I don't know what I want to watch, this is kind of a good bet. It's like, oh, what do I want to watch today? Well, if I can't think of anything else, I will watch The Princess Bride. It never gets old.
It doesn't. I don't think this movie ever gets old.
No.
And I also want to say, Sally's pretty awesome for having this VHS tape, because she could have had like a really terrible movie. Like that could have been like the one thing you had to keep you company.
No, I think she's kind of she had probably a lot of things, because she had a daughter. She had like a little daughter.
Okay.
So she probably had like a lot of Disney movies and things like that. But Sally herself was, if I remember correctly, into like real Renaissance fair kind of stuff.
Okay.
anyway. So I'm sure that that was part of the reason that she liked this, because it was this, swashbuckling adventure, princesses, pirates, all this kind of stuff. So it kind of made sense for her to like this, and I really liked it as well. And it's everything about it appealed to me. The adventure stuff, the romance stuff, even the frame story, probably with the grandparent, because my mom's parents were very important to me. And just the happy ending,
Yeah.
the friendships. It's not even just the romance, but like the relationships between all the characters, and really definitely the humor. This movie has humor like no other movie.
Yeah, very, very, very funny.
And I loved it. I adored it. It really appealed to me, and it still continues to this day. So that's my story.